Welcome back to Dear Business Coach. My name's Elizabeth, coming to you from the Walker Consulting Works studio. My guest today is Jess Kozlowski. What do boundaries have to do with business? Well, we're going to explore that today, and Jess brings her tarot cards. She's a psychic medium, healer, and life coach. You can find her at Psychic Medium Jess K. On Instagram, she is Psychic Medium Jess K. And on Facebook, she is Jessie Cat Kozlowskat. And you'll find her link tree also on her TikTok and Instagram pages. This is really exciting. If you have questions for Jessie, you can reach her on her TikTok page or at psychicmediumjessk@gmail.com. For Dear Business Coach listeners, if you have questions, what is one thing that you need help with to move your business forward today? Dearbusinesscoach@gmx.com. My name's Elizabeth. All right. So, Jessica, I pronounced your name Kozlowski,
Yes.
but you have a TikTok profile, a link tree, and why don't you introduce yourself to me?
Okay. Well, my name is Jessica Kozlowski. Call me Jess, Jessie, Jessica. It doesn't matter to me. I am a psychic medium and healer and life coach. I've only really been interested in all of the spirituality stuff for the last like 2.5 years or so. It wasn't always a part of my life, so I kind of know what it's like on both sides of the coin from a non-spiritual point of view and a spiritual point of view. So my goal in life is to help people and heal people and give them guidance. And I really like cats. So,
Well, and we are talking today on Dear Business Coach. So hopefully we can open up a world for folks who would like to know how they can come to Psychic Medium, how they can come to you with questions that help get some guidance for them in their world, in their business, and in their personal life too. And so, what exactly does a psychic medium do?
well, oh my goodness. I'm just like that's kind of like a loaded question. So a psychic medium, okay, so it's kind of like you could be a psychic or a medium or a psychic and a medium. So being psychic is something that everybody can technically do. It's basically your intuition, kind of like your gut feeling, but it's also something that you really need to practice and be kind of disciplined in. You also really need to avoid eating sugar, which is like everywhere. It's very difficult because the sugar will kind of like dull your abilities. But the mediumship portion is something not something that everybody can be, but that's like just connecting with spirit. You can connect with past loved ones. You can connect with angels, like archangels, and even God. Or if you don't like using the word God, you can use the word universe. You can use source or God source, like whatever you want. It's all the same thing. So we basically we are all made of energy. It's also been scientifically proven that matter is energy. So, and energy doesn't actually have any limits or boundaries. So a psychic medium can connect with this source of energy that you can't like see with a human eye generally and get that information from either source, God, the universe, or your past loved ones.
Connections with a past loved one or an energy source, does that mean that um, I need to believe in angels for this to work for me?
No. No, that's the really cool thing about the whole spirituality thing and the metaphysical stuff is like it's so funny. Like, with religion and everything, people are like, well, if you don't believe in God, you're gonna go to hell or whatever. But that's not actually the case. When you come to this planet, like, I believe in reincarnation, you have past lives. When you come to this planet, like my role in this life is a spiritual one, but you don't have to have a spiritual role. You could come to this planet and live this life and not believe in God at all. That doesn't mean that God isn't there. That doesn't mean that the angels aren't there. Like you have a spirit tribe, like spirit guides that are always working for you and always helping you, and you don't even realize it. So you don't need to believe in any of this in order for it to be helpful for you. It just is helpful to believe in it.
As a life coach, it sounds like you have all of these healing mechanisms, resources at your fingertips. And so what would you say to me if I said, well, I don't know, I'm stuck, I need help, or I have a question, but I don't know anything about, like, what kind of a reading do I need, and how do you start with me?
Um, I would definitely start with like a just a general tarot card spread, but I would also give you resources like looking into your numerology chart, basically. Like everybody has a life path number, a soul urge number, a destiny number, a personality number. The thing is, when you're born, the exact moment that you are born is important. The exact placement of the planets in our universe is important because all of that kind of helps uh, form you in terms of like your personality and like what you came to this planet to do. So like my life path number is just my date of birth. You just add up all the digits. So I'm May 12th, 1992. So you would just do 5 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 2. I think that came out to 29. And then you take 2 plus 9 and it becomes 11. Now, 11 is a double digit number. It's a master number. You don't reduce it anymore. So my life path number is 11. Now, a master number doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. What it means for me is that my life is just more difficult than like the average person, but only up until about the age of 30, which has proven to be true. I didn't know about any of this until just like maybe when I was 30.
Mhm.
Um, so we would use your life path number to try and figure out like more about who you are as a person. We would use your astrology, not just your sun sign, but your moon sign and your rising sign. There's also something called human design, but I would also like use the tarot cards. It's like a package deal. It's like it's all connected, it's all related, and figure out, okay, what's been going on in the past? What are you dealing with now? What's coming up in your future? What do you need to do? Who is influencing the situation that you're in? What are you hoping or what are you fearing? And what is the outcome currently that is in alignment with your highest good? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the outcome. That's just the outcome that is in alignment, like right now, because you do have free will. You can
Mhm.
change your destiny, you can change what you do.
When you give me some guidance, or if you're drawing a card, that doesn't mean that you're reading the future set in stone or something.
Oh, no, it
That's
definitely
not,
is not.
no.
No, there's nothing set in stone. Actually, what I will tell you is you could go to a psychic medium for guidance, but that doesn't mean that you have to listen to what they say.
Mhm.
As an example, like I was, getting readings and stuff. I was trying to become a teacher, a math teacher, and I was going to all these readers and trying to figure out like, is this really the best path for me? It's just one of the paths that I could have taken, and I eventually ended up deciding on my own, even though all these other readers were like, yes, this is a good path for you. I decided I didn't want that path. I really didn't want any more. I'm okay with education. I'm okay with teaching people things, but I did not want to become like a public education teacher. So I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. You can totally do that. You can be told by different readers, you should do this, but you could also just do whatever you want to do. It's not like their word is like what is going to happen. Anything can change.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that makes me feel better or no.
Well, so the
Uh,
thing about that is it's really complicated because like we have free will and stuff, right? But like you come to this planet, to learn certain lessons, you come here to do certain things. So your guides kind of help guide you in a way to what it is that you're meant to be here for and the lessons that you're meant to learn. So the thing that's really cool about that is if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you are doomed for a certain outcome, or like maybe you're like, oh no, I'm going to be stuck in this profession forever. That's not necessarily the case. Like I said, you have free will. Nothing is set in stone. You can do whatever you set your mind to. Like, just believe in yourself. That sounds cliche, but it's not. It's believe in yourself and you could do whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'm starting a business. I also have personal family responsibilities. And am I developing into the person I need to be to take on these challenges and accomplish these goals? I'm young enough, right, that I have plenty of time to set the right foundation, but old enough that I want to make sure I'm making sound choices, not taking on too much risk. How do I come to you and tell you that? Help me look into my chart, help me look into my um into my numerology about what I can be focusing on to help me grow as a business owner.
So yeah, I definitely think that I can say from my own personal experience, if I were to see that I were a master number 11 in numerology even like 3 years ago, I would have been like, this is total BS. This is not accurate at all. But that's because I had not really grown into that person yet. So yes, I think that if you are living in a way that is not quite in alignment with who you are at a soul level, then you might look at these resources and go like, well, that's not true, or that doesn't make any sense. So as an example, like no, I guess it was like 7 years ago, I was in a psychologically abusive relationship with this guy. And if I were to look at any of my stuff, any of my like astrology or anything like that, I would have been like, this isn't me. That's because I wasn't me. I was someone completely different. I was not myself with this other person. So you can be influenced by other toxic people and find that you don't really relate to your charts because you have basically kind of lost yourself being in these toxic situations with these different people. Now, as far as utilizing these resources, I currently like when I go to and get like an astrologer, I go to my friend Daquan for the Vedic astrology readings. It's Eastern astrology. It's not super far off from Western astrology. Um, so like instead of the North Node and the South Node, it's called Rahu and Ketu. But it turns out even in that reading, in the Vedic astrology reading I got from him, it turns out that it made a lot of sense because Rahu was doing something weird for the last like 18 years of my life, which is probably why everything was kind of a dumpster fire. So I'm like, well, that makes sense. That's really great. I'm glad to know that there was a reason behind all of this. So if you go and get an astrology reading and you can understand more about yourself, and that's also how I found out that I am more suited for entrepreneurship or owning a business, and I'm like, that's super freaking awesome. So I'm going to keep doing this, even though I was trying to become a teacher, because teaching is also part of my chart, but I'm more suited for the business aspect. So you can use the astrology to figure out what you are best suited for, at least in terms of the alignment of the planets at the time of your birth. And as far as like, you know what, if I do have my tarot cards here with me. So
Okay. Yeah. You had posted something today as a message from a spirit animal, the llama, and you said that has
mhm.
something to do with boundaries. When you post these messages, it's almost like you're channeling a message of the day, something to pay attention to, something that's just speaking to you that people need to hear. And so today was the llama. So tell me what these animal messages mean for you when you're posting them for everybody to see, and what are animal spirits for us to pay attention to? How do they come into our lives, I guess, too?
So that's super exciting. I'm glad that you asked that because
Okay, cool.
it's not just like what I get for my TikTok videos, but it's also something you can pay attention to in your life because animals, birds, all of them are messengers. So if you see an animal, it could be one even that you see frequently or one that you don't see very frequently at all. Like sometimes I see deer. The one night I saw a fox, three foxes in like a row, basically, not even together, but just Googling the meaning, like what is the spiritual meaning of a fox? What is the spiritual meaning of a blue heron? What is the spiritual meaning of a groundhog, whatever it is that you see, just like look into it, and it's pretty much always, in my case, it has always resonated somehow. Even looking into, I have a freaking infestation, I guess, of Asian lady beetles, which are basically just orange ladybugs in my apartment. I live in a very old building, but it's about positivity and luck and stuff coming into my life. And I'm like, that's freaking amazing. Thank you very much. You're very annoying for being here, but I really like the message that you're bringing me. So, like, I guess you're fine. So, with so like anybody's listening to this right now, just like pay attention to the animals that you see, or any animals that you really feel like you resonate with, or animals that you really like, and just like Google the spiritual meaning of those animals. There are also Native American meanings. There are all the meanings, like there's Celtic meanings, there's a lot of stuff, and they're all pretty similar. For me, when I do the videos, I basically ask, like, I'm like, okay, God, what do the people who are going to watch today's video specifically need to know for their highest good? And I just kind of wait. Maybe I'll get words, maybe I'll get an image. Today I got the image of a llama. And I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. So, and the llama specifically, like llamas are very stubborn. They will literally spit on you. They're not afraid to let you know how they feel. They are very good at setting boundaries. And I'm like, okay, so today's message is about speaking up and using your voice. Maybe don't spit on people, but using your voice to establish those boundaries and to speak your truth. And if the people that you're setting these boundaries with respect your boundaries, then those are good people to keep around. If they get upset and they get defensive or they start attacking you because of these boundaries you're trying to establish, then maybe they are not the best people for you to have in your life. Maybe they don't have your best interests at heart. And like I said in the video, once you start setting boundaries, people are going to kind of sort themselves out. If you start setting boundaries and people don't like that, they might just start leaving, and then that makes room for better people to come into your life.
Would like to see if you'd like to use your tarot cards. Will ask you a question, and then I have a question from a listener. Will that work?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You have to tell me how this works. I need to ask somebody for something. Asking, I need this from you. Hard stop. So
Right.
that is a little bit of a boundary question on the flip side. So what's my question? I feel like I've already stated
So,
my boundaries, but it needs to be revisited. So do I
oh,
just ask for it? 1, 2, 3, here's my bullet point. I need this from you. Or do I try again with an approach that is a little bit more friendly? Or
so you want to know like how to approach it.
yeah, is
Yeah.
that a
Okay.
fair question? Is that a fair question for a
Yeah.
tarot reading?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
You see
not
what we
great
get.
at phrasing it.
It's okay. I mean,
Okay.
I understand what you're trying to go for. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna ask like,
Mhm.
what does Elizabeth need to know for her highest good regarding the situation, regarding how she should approach the situation? And I ask the universe in accordance with everything that is good and everything that is light, let it be in this reading. Always, start with a blessing, not that you get something that is not for somebody's highest good, if you know what I mean. Okay. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Okay. So I pulled three cards. We
Mhm.
have the Queen of Fire
Mhm.
and the King of Water and the Hermit card.
Queen of
So
Fire, King of
King of Water,
Water,
mhm,
and
the Hermit.
Hermit. Okay.
So, well, first of all, part of it is asking you, how do you think is the best way to approach this without me knowing anything about what this is that you're trying to ask? Part of it is going inside of yourself and going into your heart and asking yourself, what is the best way for me to go about doing this? Oh, and also making sure that you convey yourself in a way that is like unmistakable, not something that is kind of wishy-washy, but communicating what it is that you need or want in a way that you can confidently feel like you definitely asked for this, and like these are my terms. This is what I want. So also asking for help from your guides. We have the angel wing in that corner. So everybody, for whoever's listening, you do have spirit guides. They cannot help you if you do not ask for their help. It's kind of like a rule that they have. So always ask your guides for help. You're not bothering them. You're not like a nuisance or anything. Like that's literally what they're there for. They are there to help you. So part of this is ask for help from your angels, ask for help from your guides, and make sure that you are living in a way that is in accordance with like tending to your inner light, taking care of yourself, valuing yourself, making sure that you feel worthy, that actually that that you're worthy of what you're asking for. Then the Queen of Fire is about being confident. She's great at just being herself. It's like she can just be herself and she's like, you're welcome. So when you go to this person about this, make sure that you like that you're not only confident, but that you like project confidence. That this is like, this is what you want. And there's no like shame about it. There's no being embarrassed or whatever about what it is that you're trying to ask for. But there's also the King of Water. And the King of Water is more so about like, oh, in a way, assisting others with emotional growth. So the way that you approach the situation not only is going to be beneficial for you in terms of like your own growth, but it's also going to be beneficial for them for their growth because they're going to have to like every experience that you have with everybody in your life teaches you yourself something about you, but it also teaches the other people that you're dealing with things about them. So make sure that you are patient and like loving and nurturing and kind, but that you're also firm and that you're confident about what it is that you need or want. And and then whatever way that they react is a reflection of them and their beliefs and like how they were raised, how they react to situations. So as long as you can convey what you want in a respectful, kind, nurturing manner while still being confident about what it is that you want, see how things go. See, because like I said, however people treat you is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's two sides, right? I can be firm with nothing nice about it, or like you said, let's think about being I heard the word nurturing because I think that making expressing boundaries um would be is a challenge because you do have to make a choice about how you communicate your mood and also when you decide to communicate your boundaries, right? For me personally, I think it's important to pay attention to your energy level, right? If it's time to have a conversation, paying attention to maybe not do it at a time of day when you're a little bit frazzled. You've already tended to five problems that day and you don't have all of
Right.
the energy to be fully available with the other person that you're asking for something from. So having compassion is or think about the nurturing behind the firmness is actually super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I don't know, that's just setting boundaries is really hard and scary at first. Like, but then when you get used to doing it, it's like they become your best friend. So
Mhm.
it's almost like an art in a way that you have to practice. And there's always a fear of disappointing somebody, but then you got to ask yourself, well, whose happiness is more important? Is it mine or theirs? Because you're the main character in your own story.
Speaking to women and women business owners and women in positions of authority, women in positions of decision making. Uh, don't you just feel like a bitch all the time?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
no,
really
yeah.
right. And then if nobody's going to respect these boundaries like they're supposed to, right? Then fine. Then that's just the way it's going to be. Then I'm going to have to be a bitch. Well, I don't like that feeling either.
You don't
So,
have to be a
right, but
bitch
is there
though.
some kind of a story behind that that's a little bit like, well, why what is that vocabulary? Are you really being a bitch? Who told you that you were being that? Right? Where did
I
that
think that's
voice come
that's just
from?
that's just the way I think that's just society because I've seen things even on the internet about how like if a woman were to convey XYZ, she would be seen as maybe bitchy or pushy or something like that. But if a man were to do it the exact same way, he would be seen as like authoritative or a leader or confident or whatever. So there's this like what's it called? It's not like a stigma. I don't remember what the word is. But unfortunately, women kind of have to fight past that. But the cool thing about femininity is you can set these boundaries and do it in a way that is nurturing and compassionate. So it could be as simple as stating something in a way that you need without the, I guess, undertones or the connotations or whatever that it's mm, you're not attacking someone.
Well, I could tell you that you personally are doing you're doing a bad job, right? Like you're not doing it right. It's you. It's your fault. You're not doing it right. Right? But or no, it's not that when you're using words, choosing words is important. When you say if someone can be attacked personally, well, also be cognizant of your delivery, right? You don't
Yeah.
you are you attacking that person personally? Are you using words that are like about that person, like their character versus, well, if it's a coworker, for example, or an employee or a business partner, you never do it the way I want you to. Well, that is kind of a personal attack, right? Versus
Yeah.
getting at the job at hand or the issue at hand. Ah,
Well, I think that part of all of this is understanding that you may need to actually just get more information. Like you are not that person. You don't know what's going through their mind. You don't know what their experience is. This thing with setting boundaries could be as simple as a misunderstanding where this person doesn't even realize that they're doing anything wrong. Like they have no idea. And then you need to ask probing questions. Like maybe let's say, you have a coworker and you've showed them how to do this a million times. Be like, hey, so I've shown you how to do this before a couple times, but it seems like you're not quite getting it yet. So what I want to know is, what can I do to show you like what is it that you don't understand about it? And maybe I can think of a different way to communicate exactly how this is supposed to work or how you're supposed to do this, not just going after them and going like, I don't know why you don't do this. Maybe they don't do it because they don't understand, or they're just like on a completely different page than you are.
I'm not sure if I'm repeating what you said exactly, but for me that would be, ooh, I would be defensive immediately if somebody said to me, "Well, I just don't understand why you're doing it this way."
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely. That's a great way to make somebody like really defensive.
yeah.
So something that something that I've kind of learned, just the quick thing, and it's like a lot of people are probably gonna just call like bullshit on it, but everybody on the planet is always doing their best all the time, whether you believe it or not. Like you're always doing your best. Everyone is always doing their best, even if you think that their best is shit. You need to accept that this is their best and just kind of be compassionate in that way, knowing like not only are you doing your best, even if it doesn't feel like you are, you're just not giving yourself enough credit. But if you look at them, they're doing their best with what they have, what they've learned, what their experiences have been in their lives. Just because you would do it a different way doesn't mean that it's not their best.
That's hard to remember in the heat of the
Yeah, right.
moment. Okay,
Yeah.
well, awesome. Well, we just pulled a couple of cards. Now, this little switch here in topic, I have a listener who wanted me to ask you, as I said earlier, you know, this is a listener who's asking a personal question, but it is money related. And so I think that's important for people listening. If you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, your personal finances absolutely affect your professional finances because sometimes you are funding your own business. Um, and that means making or not making cash flow available to either major purchases in your life or purchases in your business. So we had a listener ask, will you please find out for me if now is a good time to take out a house mortgage?
I want to say no. Just like as oh, I don't think so. I'm also using my pendulum too. Like both, like me feeling like it's a no and the pendulum is also saying it's a no. Like for me, when it goes back and forth like this, that is a no. But if it were to go like front to back like that, that would be a yes. But I'm just like I personally, I don't have any good feelings about that, knowing especially how high. Now, remember, like I said in the beginning of this, you could completely ignore everything I'm saying because you have free will. You don't have to listen to anything I'm saying. And you could even try to rationalize it as, well, like if I took out a mortgage now, then I could refinance down the road when the interest rates are lower. But also take into consideration, yeah, the mortgage rates, interest rates are like really high right now, but also houses are really expensive. Oh my goodness. So, but just for the hell of it, why don't I pull a card? I'll just pull a card for that particular thing. I really do not get a good feeling about taking out a mortgage right now. Um, I personally am hoping that there will be a freaking housing like market crash at some point so that I can buy my own house. Let's see, what do we get for taking out a mortgage? That's a double card.
What is a double card?
The devil card. Well,
Devil card.
the devil card. I mean, that one is more so about confronting your fears. The devil card is about overcoming shame in your humanity. The devil card is, overcoming fears such as setting boundaries. But mm, okay, that's really interesting. So it's funny. We also have the Nine of Water and the Temperance. So the temperance is about accepting the way things are, like creating your own peace by accepting the way that things are. But the Nine of Water is really nice because it's the Make-A-Wish card, making a wish to the universe and conveying what you want, and the universe will bring it to you, that kind of a thing. I would say work on releasing the negative for this particular person. Work on releasing whatever negativity you have in your life. Work on releasing your negative like feelings, the negative core beliefs, negative programming, limiting beliefs, releasing that stuff because that stuff it's that all of that will just generally taint your life. But part of that with the releasing is the accepting with the temperance card, accepting the way that things have happened and allowing yourself to be a little bit more vulnerable. So like with this card, you can see the bird has its wings extended. The higher the bird extends its wings, the more its underbelly is exposed, but the higher it lifts its wings, the higher it can soar. And the Nine of Water being the Make a Wish card, make a wish for what you want, and then be patient The universe will bring you what you need at exactly the right time, like with divine timing, like I was talking about before. But I also know that there are people out there who may be in a, like, and this is for people who might be in this particular situation. People out there might be in a particular situation where renting just is not the better option anymore.
Right.
So is it that you want to get out a mortgage because like you just want a house, or are you trying to get out a mortgage because your living situation is awful and like you need to get out, like that kind of a thing? You got to kind of weigh the pros and the cons at this point. You can be logical about it, releasing the negativity, releasing your negative beliefs. If you have like a subconscious belief that you're never going to own a house one day, then that's probably going to be the case, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you also use the pendulum there. So
This, anybody can use a pendulum, by the way, and it doesn't have to be something like this. It can literally just be like a weight attached to a string. Like it could even just be like a necklace or something. So it does take some practice to use this because sometimes even me, like I'll find myself holding this and it will not move at all. And other times it'll just like shake and I'm like, okay, so you want to do something, but even right now it's just kind of like doing whatever it wants. But so, but like this you can use to communicate with your subconscious. So everybody's different. Sometimes yes would be like going in a clockwise circle, and no would be a counterclockwise circle. For me, yes is back and forth, and no is side to side. Sometimes it'll just go in a circle, and I'm like, okay, that probably means like maybe or rephrase or not yet or something like that, or like wait. And I also have Oracle cards. I use those too. It's so funny because like every time I ask these cards, because they have there's time ones too. There's like within the next few weeks, within the next few months, like you're ready, blah blah blah. Every time I'll ask, when are my psychic medium abilities just going to like explode? Because I know like I'm still growing. I'm still getting better at it, but at some point they're gonna be freaking amazing. Every time I ask, when is that gonna happen? I get the card that says, wait. And I'm like, oh, but that's another thing. That's one of my things is I got to learn to be patient. That's like one of my lessons is having to learn to be patient, which sucks, but I can do it. So for this, like, it's just like it's helpful if I'm because I do trust like my gut feeling, but sometimes I also want to get confirmation with this, just
yeah.
like to see if this says something else. I can also use something like this to determine if a particular food if a food is good for you. Like you can hold this over, I mean, an apple, it's very likely it's going to say yes. And if you hold it over a can of soda, it's very likely it's going to say no. But like you can use it, it's just going in a circle at this point. You can hold it over food and be like, is this something that is good for me? Like, is my body going to like this? And it'll tell you. Like you can use it for a lot of things. So anybody can get a pendulum. They're not like super expensive or anything. There are definitely some like cheap ones. You can get them like on Etsy. You can get them at a crystal metaphysical store, or like I said, you can even just use like a necklace that you have. Divination tool, just like dowsing rods. People use those to communicate with spirits. Some people use crystal balls. There's the tarot cards. Do not use a Ouija board. I mean, you could, but like this is your warning. Basically, using a Ouija board is kind of like surfing the internet without any firewall or antivirus software. So like you have been warned.
That's a good way to say that. That's funny. Are you getting questions from people in your circle, in your field, from your clients? Are you getting a pulse from what people are asking for right now, or what people are, seeking a little focus in from you.
Um, it's funny. Most of like what I get is people asking about relationship stuff, which like makes sense, honestly, because that's a big part of our lives. But if there was
Mhm.
something that I needed or that I felt like people who are listening like need to know, um, just because something isn't happening now or the way that you want it to happen, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It could mean that it's coming and you need to be patient. It could mean that there is something better for you that you weren't even expecting. It could mean like so many different things. And, part of figuring that out would be, going and getting like an astrology reading or even using numerology because there is an energy to even like the year 2023, like 2 + 0 + 2 + 3 is 7. So we have the energy of year 7. Next year is going to be the energy of year 8, which is really cool because that is like an abundance kind of a thing, which I'm very excited about. Come on, 2024. Um, but there's also like the energy to the year that you are alive. We all have cycles. What number are you in this particular cycle is also important. So there's just a lot. It's so much fun to look into. It's just there's just like a lot of things. I just think it's a lot of fun. This is my jam. This is my
Yeah.
thing.
It is a lot
So
of fun. And I was just taking a glance at your TikTok numbers. You have almost 3,000 followers, almost double that likes on, and you are just coming to us. Um, every day there's a message about you letting us know, your audience, what you have for us in terms of giving us some structure to our thoughts for the day. Remember to pay attention to, what's already here to help us, messages that are already here to help us, I think, might be one way to put it.
I mean, I can also mention like, in addition to looking up like the animal meanings, if you see repeating numbers, like that's also a really good sign that you're on the right track. If you don't see the repeating numbers, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Maybe you do see the repeating numbers, but you don't really notice it because you just like don't think it's a big deal. I don't know. But like that is a good sign that you're on the right track. Always understand like you are always in the right place at the right time. So if you get stuck behind somebody on the highway who's going really, really slow, it's possible that they're supposed to be there to keep you from getting into an accident. So just be patient. The important thing is that you show up. If things don't go the way you want them to go right now, just show up. And whatever is meant for your highest good is going to happen.
I don't put a lot of stock in exactly the 31st of the year being some sort of number that's like the end of something. We don't just, you know, life doesn't just change because one year ended and a new year begins. But it is a
Right.
good time of year to, if you have a choice to speed up and go with the holiday schedule, or you have a choice to use the holidays to slow down a little bit. So I think people are thinking about that right now too.
We are in a season of transformation and death, if you want to call it that. So right now, like even nature is, at least in the northern hemisphere anyway, we're in a
Hmm.
season where everything it needs to take a break, everything needs to rest. The leaves have come off the trees, the animals are hibernating. Like that's what the season is about. It's about the rest and the recharging and the hibernating and the transformation. So like keep that in mind too.
When are you available? How do you want people to reach out to you for readings and assistance?
At Psychic Medium Jess K. Instagram is Psychic Medium Jess K. Facebook is Jessica Kozlowski hyphen Psychic Medium. My email address is psychicmediumjessk@gmail.com. And if you want to reach out to me, you can call or text me on my cell phone, 484-665-2203. Most of my availability is in the evenings on the weekdays and on the weekends but I'm
Okay.
going to start doing 2024 readings, a 30-minute reading for $75. So if you want to know what's coming up in 2024 for you, we can totally do that. Very exciting. We're going to go through like each month, January, February, March, blah, 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 all the way through the end and see what's coming up for you next year.
Sweet. Anyway, I thank you so much. It was fun.
Thank
And let's
you.
talk again soon.